Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where we're back with the Scourge of Ghyran, Day 9. We're here to prove our worth to the Blood God. Today, it's gifts from the Blood God with the Blades of Khorne. Lydia has our lore drop. I've heard these are really good. I really should go and watch them all. They're easily accessible if you have any kind of social media. So I think I might spend part of today just catching up on all of these little lore drops. But we're not here for that, we're here for the rules. So what are the Blood Gods chosen getting with this faction update? The Gore-Tide has been even more motivated to get stuck in and start chopping stuff up ever since Korgos Cole ascended to Demon Princedom. You'd be surprised, or terrified, depending on which side of the table you're on, at how fast they can move. Meanwhile, the Tournament of Skulls gives your mortal and demon heroes extra attacks as they compete to claim more skulls. Thematically, that second one sounds amazing. There's also a new prayer lore. These gifts for the Blood God are all chanted on a 3-up. Okay, that's pretty good, but they become even more powerful when cast on an 8. The sacred number of Khorne himself, obviously. Goreflesh ignores damage inflicted on a unit, while Runes of Loathing gives your unit an impressive ward save against enemy spells, prayers, and even manifestations. Lastly, Gift of Apoplexy enrages your opponent's units so much that they start hitting each other if they use an ability that isn't move, charge, or fight. Wow, these Jezzail teams in Freeguard Fusiliers are going to have an awful time. That all sounds pretty fun. 2 Blades of Khorne War Scrolls have also been updated. The Mighty Lord of Khorne now carries a reality-splitting axe that can rip a hole in reality and drag an enemy hero kicking, screaming and bleeding into the realm of chaos. Okay, can we just take a moment thematically to just appreciate it's not going to be anything as cool as this, but how 80s fantasy heavy metal sounding that is. That just sounds ridiculously cool. You can also command a friendly unit to charge during the enemy fight phase once per battle. Only once per battle, but that's very strong. Countercharge? Very nice. Clearly enraged by the abundance of life in Ghyran, the Bloodcrushers have goaded their brass steeds to even greater heights of violence. But simply don't stand in their way because they'll go right through you. It sounds like Khorne is very pleased, or about to be very pleased. We do have a General's Handbook fact today, so we'll run over this before we get into all of the faction rules themselves. General's Handbook fact number 4. Thanks to low-hanging burrs, vines, creepers, and all manner of interfering flora, units are now much harder to target if every model in the unit is within 1 inch of obscuring terrain, which is tough with the unit size and base sizes of some of the units in this game. This may sound like a massive boon for shooting units, which can hide among the trees, but those dangly plants can really foul up a ranged attack. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We'll have to see. Places of Power have metamorphosized into something more Ghyranic, with new effects that range from healing, or sometimes deadly pollen, to magical boons and rapidly growing vegetation. Right, enough with the rage blood and all the skull throne nonsense. Tomorrow's Scourge of Ghyran content will be far more down to earth. Or will it? Luminath, which is the tree people. Tree people. I'm going for the tree people. The tree elves. Whatever they're called. Tree elves. Let me know what you think in the comments. Right, let's get into it. Faction update. Blades of Khorne. Battle formations. Tournament of Skulls. Once per turn army, your hero phase. Bloody competitors. Declare pick a friendly non-hero Bloodbound unit and a friendly non-hero Blades of Khorne demon unit to be the targets. Effect, until the start of your next turn, while the targets are wholly within 12 inches of each other, add 1 to wound rolls for the target's combat attacks. Okay, and the Gore-Tide is the other one. Once per turn army, your movement phase. Tide of Savagery. Declare pick a friendly Bloodbound hero and up to 2 other friendly Bloodbound units that are wholly within 12 inches of that hero to be the targets. Effect, add 2 inches to the target's move characteristic for the rest of the turn. Base movement in AOS is 5 inches, isn't it? So jumping up to 7 is actually quite nice. I wish Tournament of Skulls was better. I don't think it's bad, but I wish it was better, just a bit more interesting. I mean, there's play in both of them. I don't actually know anything about Blades of Khorne as a faction, so they might just be so much better than the formations they already have. I think they're okay. I'm not that excited and enthused by them, but still, you know, they're there. The prayer lore gifts of the blood god. So, like they mentioned in the article, all of these go off on a 3. So with prayers, you roll a d6, and you just keep adding the points to whatever you need to cast it at whatever level. There's usually a base level cast and then a higher level cast. In this case, all of these spells cast higher on an 8. So if you roll a couple of 6s, you're laughing. But what have we actually got? So they're all prayers. The first one we're going to go over, Goreflesh, is the unlimited prayer, and you declare a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer. Pick a visible friendly Blades of Khorne unit wholly within 12 inches of them to be the target, and make a chanting roll of d6. So there is a chance that it just goes off on a 6, or on a 3, sorry, but you might want to charge it up. But either way, the effect: until the start of your next turn, ignore the first damage point allocated to the target in each phase. If the chanting roll was 8+, you can pick another eligible target to be a second target. Did we not see this yesterday with another? It might have been a trait. It could have just been a battle formation thing. But ignoring 1 point of damage, while damage mitigation, and I say this every time, I think damage mitigation is good. It's not that amazing, is it really? But that's your unlimited one. Arguably now over to the more interesting ones. Runes of Loathing. Declare, pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne unit wholly within 12 inches of them to be the target, then make a chanting roll of d6. Effect: until the start of your next turn, the target has a ward 3 up against damage inflicted by spell abilities, prayer abilities, and abilities used by manifestations, including fight abilities. If the chanting roll is 8+, you can pick another eligible unit to be the second target. That's not bad. 3 up ward, 50-50 on spells, prayer abilities, and anything a manifestation does. That's quite nice. And finally, the gift of apoplexy. Declare, pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of them to be the target, then make a chanting roll of d6. Effect: until the start of your next turn, each time the target uses an ability that is not a move, charge, or fight ability, after that ability is resolved, inflict d3 mortal damage on the target. If the chanting roll was an 8+, inflict 3 mortal damage instead of d3. As a prayer, going off on a 3, I think that's quite nice. Forcing your opponent to move, charge, and fight. If they do anything else, they're going to take damage. I think that's quite good as well, as an ability. Now over to our Scourge of Ghyran updated War Scrolls. We'll kick off with the Mighty Lord of Khorne. 5-inch move, 3 up save, 7 health, 2 control. Fairly standard. 3 up save isn't bad. I know he's a lord, but 3 up save isn't bad. Melee weapons, the Axe of Khorne. 4 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage. Pretty strong. Although we're seeing a lot of 3 damage stuff at the minute. The Flesh Hound's Blood Dark Claws, their companion attacks. 3 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, no rend, 1 damage. So it's a little extra. We have a once per battle army, any combat phase, combat ability for 1 CP, Howl of Blood-Curdling Savagery. Declare, if this unit is in combat, pick a visible friendly bloodbound unit that is wholly within 12 inches of this unit and not in combat to be the target. Then make a charge roll of 2d6. Effect: the target can move the distance of the value of the charge roll. That unit can move through the combat ranges of any enemy units and must end that move within half an inch of a visible enemy unit. If it does so, the target has charged. Keywords move charge. So it is just a free charge. Well, it's not free, you pay your point, but it's an extra bit of movement for a bloodbound unit. And then we have a once per turn army, end of any turn ability, Reality Splitting Axe. I hope this is cool. Declare, this unit can use this ability even if it has been destroyed. Pick an enemy hero that has allocated any damage points by this unit's Axe of Khorne this turn to be the target. Effect: roll a dice. On a 5 up, the target is automatically destroyed and cannot be replaced for the rest of the battle. Okay, that's pretty good. Keywords: hero, inventory, chaos, Blades of Khorne, bloodbound. So while the axe isn't that exciting once you throw in, alright, it's once per turn, but you can even do it when the hero's dead. It's like a lingering effect. You do some damage and it's got to be on a hero, but even if you get a little bit of damage through, specifically with the axe, then on a 5 up it's just dead. I think that rule It's nice. It's not overly powerful. If you're rolling 5-ups all the time on it, it could be hilariously bad for your opponent, but it's such a cool thematic rule. I love it. You don't get things like that in 40k, do you? And the Mighty Lord of Khorne is 180 points. Regiment options, any Bloodbound Warmonger, 0 to 1 Kharanak, any Blades of Khorne. Oh, look who remembered Kharanak. 180 points sounds a lot, but he does have a reality-splitting axe. I don't actually know which model this is, so we're going to jump over to the faction pack now, and we'll see if this is better or not, or what they've changed really, I suppose, is the key thing. So let's have a quick look. I'm going to be honest, that isn't quite how I thought that model would look. I think you could kit bash it better. Does he not look a bit small? Anyway, Mighty Lord of Khorne from their faction pack. 5-inch move, 3-up save, no ward, that's the same. 7 health, 2 control, that's the same. The Axe of Khorne, 5 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. Okay. And the Flesh Hound's Blood Dark Claws, 4 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, no rend, 1 damage, but anti-wizard plus 1 rend, companion. Interesting. I wonder why anti-wizard is missing from the other one. We have a passive Lord of the Bloodbound. Effect, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Bloodbound infantry units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Okay, that's not bad. And then another combat ability. Once per turn army, your combat phase, bring me their skull. Declare, pick a friendly God-chosen unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. The target has strike first for the rest of the turn. I love strike first. Keywords, hero infantry, chaos, Blades of Khorne, and Bloodbound. And that unit is 130 points. Okay. So, what do you actually get for an extra 50 points? You get an extra pip of damage. You get your, and it is a once per turn ability, your reality splitting axe, which is, thematically it's cool. Is it worth extra 50 points? I suppose you get 1 pip of damage, but you do lose an attack. The Flesh Hound loses anti-wizard plus 1 rend, which arguably isn't huge because it's not going to be all the time. You lose +1 to charge of friendly Bloodbound infantry, and you lose giving a God-chosen unit strike first. You gain a free charge in any, well, not free. You gain a counter charge, probably, or another charge, any combat phase, for 1 CP, but it has to be a Bloodbound unit. I think 50 points is a big tax on what is effectively, I don't even know if you get extra damage through, because it's less attacks, but that extra pip, 3s and 3s, I mean, you may get 1 or 2 points of damage extra through, but that's not going to really change things too much, is it? The ability to potentially wipe out a hero if you've done any damage at all is nice, it's very nice, but is that worth the extra 50 points? Blades of Khorne players, that's something you're going to have to tell me. I would argue it isn't, but I don't know points, and I don't know units that you would run them with. I think losing strike first for God-chosen, or any unit, but for God-chosen, is a steep price to pay. But then, just kill a hero. It's not going to happen all the time, it's probably not going to happen that often, but that's very strong. You guys will have to let me know in the comments. Let's take a look at the Bloodcrushers now. So they've had a bit of an upgrade as well. Move 10 inches. With a 4-up save, 6-up ward, 5 health, 2 control, melee weapons, Bloodcrusher Hellblade, charge, +1 damage, and crit mortal. Very nice. 2 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. If you've charged, that damage will go up to 2. Juggernaut's Brass Hooves, anti-cavalry +1 rend, and companion attacks. 2 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, 1 rend, D3 damage. It's better than the Flesh Hound, isn't it? Their once per turn army ability, any charge phase, Brass Stampede. If this unit charged this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Effect, roll a dice. On a 3-up, this unit can move 2d6 inches. It can pass through models in the target unit and must end its move in combat. Slight discrepancy for how WarCom said, as we'd expect. So you roll your dice in your charge phase, well, any charge phase, but you roll a dice. On a 3-up, you get to make a 2d6 charge that can pass through the target you're charging, so you can surround a unit, which is quite nice, and you have to end in combat. Keywords, Cavalry, Champion, Standard Bearer 1 of 3, Musician 1 of 3, and a Ward 6 up. I'm guessing that they're a unit size of 3 then. And Chaos, Blades of Khorne, Demon. Yeah, unit size of 3 and 180 points. Regiment options, Demon, Cavalry. Okay, interesting. What do we think? Over in the faction pack, Bloodcrushers are 8-inch move with a 4-up save, 6-up ward, 5 health, 2 control, so already they've gained some movement. Melee weapons, Bloodcrusher, Hellblade, 2 attacks, 3s on 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage, anti-inventory plus 1 rend and crit mortal. So quite a nice change there for the Ghyran War Scroll. Juggernauts, Brazen Hooves, 2 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, 1 rend, D3 damage, companion, which is the same I believe, and then their any charge phase ability, Slaughterous Charge. Declare, if this unit charged this turn, pick an enemy unit within 1 inches of it to be the target. Effect, make a crushing charge roll of D3. On a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. We see that ability quite a lot as well. I think that's quite a nice ability. Keywords, Cavalry Champion, Musician 1 of 3, Standard Bearer 1 of 3, Ward 6 up, Chaos, Blades of Khorne and Demon. Quite a few changes there. Point wise, for 3 models in the faction pack they are 160 points. So for a 20 point increase, you gain 2 inches of movement, which is nice. You gain charge plus 1 damage instead of anti-inventory plus 1 rend. The question comes down to, is Brass Stampede extra movement, basically, on a 3-up, better than mortal damage? Oh, the Juggernaut's Hooves have had the anti-cavalry plus 1 rend added as well. 20 points, I don't know. They're always going to be charging, so the extra damage is going to be nice. 100, I don't know. You will have to tell me what you think the difference is. I quite like Slaughterous Charge just as an ability. Some of the Dark Oath have stuff like that, I think. Or certainly the Slaves to Darkness Chaos stuff has stuff like that. I think the extra 20 points for the 2-inch movement alone is pretty nice. I think Brass Stampede is a nice ability, but on reflection, you have to have charged, and then you pick the unit that you're already in combat with, and then you can move through that unit. So, is it that good? Is it something that you're always going to want to use? Are you ever going to be in a position where you can get a full 2d6-inch charge off? Like, I think it sounds like a good rule, I don't actually know how useful it is. If you do that, you're in combat with an enemy, you make your 3-up, you roll, say, 7 inches on your 2 dice. You pass through that unit, you then cap an objective. That's good, isn't it? That's quite a nice ability to have. Yeah, we're back to that Scourge of Ghyran War Scroll issue where it's really just down to a choice of which unit you think is better for the army or the purpose that you want that unit to have in your army, which is a really nice choice to have. I love that we're actually getting units that sometimes, we've seen it on the odd occasion, the updated unit is just so much better. But on the whole, they're fairly well balanced between them. Sometimes the points are a bit wild, we've had that with a few of the hero characters. But you're picking between Bloodcrushers depending on what I think you want them to do for that battle, who you're going up against potentially. Yeah, it's nice problems to have. Interesting. I don't know which is better. I don't think that there is a better. I think it's situational. The extra movement is really nice though. But let me know what you think. On the whole, thematically, I think I love all of this. In practice, is it better? Gortide is nice. Tournament of Skulls is nice. They're not going to set the world on fire and make the blood flow. The prayer law is... there's some interesting stuff in there. But again, it's situational, depends on what you're going up against. I think there is some nice stuff in there though, and they're pretty easy to get off. And then the War Scrolls just comes down to your personal preference. I think the Mighty Lord of Khorne is big points tax for an incredibly cool ability that might not happen in a game. But as an ability, that is incredible. I love it so much. It's the kind of shenanigans that I adore about Age of Sigmar. Yeah, I mean, on the whole, fairly middle of the road. It's not bad, it's not good. Let's put it that way. I think it's decent. It falls into the decent category. But again, it's free rules, it's extra ways to play your army, and it's a couple of different units that you can play about with. And maybe you'll have really good luck with that reality destroying axe. Maybe you just don't want to run that unit because it's too expensive. It entirely comes down to player choice. I think it's tough to not have something that gives an army strike first, or a unit, sorry, strike first. But if you're not running the Gore Chosen, whatever they were called, if you're not actually running them, you're not getting the benefit of that ability. So this just gives you more ways of looking at building armies and things, which is great. This probably isn't the best example of that, but I'm not well versed in the Blades of Khorne at all. As much as I love Khorne, my love of Khorne is more from a undivided AOS faction standpoint. But yeah, I think it's fine. Let's call it fine. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.